Hello, hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Andrea Speaks TV. I am your host, Andrea, and I'm bringing you commentary you can use. So, I want to say hello and good afternoon to everyone who is tuning in, whether you're watching now, live, or by replay. Thank you so much for being here. I am Andrea. I am the host of Andrea Speaks TV. And this is episode 39. That's right, y'all. We're almost at 40 episodes. Before I begin today's episode, I first want to say welcome to all of my new subscribers, as well as my day one supporters. If you've been tuning in with me since the beginning, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. And if you're just joining and you're wondering, okay, well, who is Andrea? What's Andrea Speaks TV? Thank you so much for being here. You all know I said in my first video, the reason why I created my channel, Andrea Speaks TV, is because there's so much news going on. Every day it seems like there's a new story, and there's so much news that's being pushed out to us. Sometimes it's kind of hard to say, okay, well, what do what's really going on? And what can I take from the news that's being given? How can I decide, okay, this is something important. This is what I need to know about so that it can help myself as well as, your family. So that's what my channel is all about. And so, again, thank you so much for being here. If you have not subscribed to the video or subscribed to the channel, rather, please make sure you subscribe. And if you find the information to be useful, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button and also share this video and channel with family members and friends. Also, if you haven't checked out my other videos on the channel, please make sure you do. I have information on topics such as business. I have videos that educate you on different topics, as well as videos about different financial topics. So I think that, as I always say, I definitely give you commentary you can use. And so I think that you will find the information that I present on my channel to be beneficial. Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic. All right, I went offline for a moment. Let me make sure everything is working well. I may have to end this video and come back on. Y'all bear with me, please. I want to make sure that I'm connected. You all let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Just type in the comments. Let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me. I had some technical difficulties. I apologize. Let me see. I may have to start over and come back on. May have to start over and come back on. Okay, y'all. Well, I'm just gonna keep going. This is live, so sometimes things happen. I do appreciate your support. So let me start over. Again, I want to say welcome. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, and I'm bringing you commentary you can use. This is episode 39. That's right, y'all. We're almost at 40 episodes. Again, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to my supporters, my subscribers. And also, if you're new to the channel, welcome and thank you so much for your support as well. Okay, if you're watching now live or if you're watching by replay, please say hello in the comments. I do like to take time to read the comments, and I do also respond or react to your comments. So if you're watching now live or by replay, please make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you also hit the thumbs up button and share my video, share my content with your family members or friends. All right, y'all. So we're going to keep going. This is episode 39. And today I want to talk to you about water shortages in California and to give you an update on exactly what's going on there. In the past, I have reported on what's going on with in the state of California, the recent droughts, as well as the wildfires, and also water shortages that are even affecting farmers. It's affecting the food supply as well as the price of food all across the country. Okay. All right. So the information that I want to speak on today, it comes from the Los Angeles Times. Hello to everyone who is tuned in. Thank you all so much. And the topic of today's video, water shortages in California are getting worse. All right, so I'm reading some information that comes from the Los Angeles Times, and this is what the article says. Okay, California water regulators, according to the article, it says that California water regulators took unprecedented action this week, passing an emergency regulation that will bar thousands of Californians from diverting stream and river water as the drought worsens. Okay, now let's see. All right. So the article continues by saying that the State Water Resources Control Board voted unanimously to pass the, and I quote, emergency curtailment order for the Sacramento San Joaquin Delta watershed. All right. The watershed encompasses a wide swath of the state from the Oregon border in northeastern California down into the Central Valley. Okay. All right. The article also goes on to say that the regulation, which gives the state water board the authority to issue emergency curtailments and require reporting on water use, will go into effect in about 2 weeks. Okay. So even though they just unanimously passed a vote, this new regulation will actually go into effect in about 2 weeks. Okay. And it is subject to the approval by the State Office of Administrative Law, with the issuing of formal curtailment orders to follow. All right, California. Now, the article does say that California has a complex water rights system, and it is designed to allocate water use during times of shortage. Okay, like we're seeing now with the water shortages, And such curtailments, the article says, although rare, are not unheard of, but the scope of Tuesday's order, which will apply to thousands of senior water rights across a wide swath of the state, goes beyond anything seen in prior droughts. All right, now there was a quote by someone, the regional director from the Bureau of Reclamation, California Great Basin, was quoted saying, "The fact remains that water supplies are extremely limited and we are running out of options." All right, now some farmers strongly criticized the move, but regulators said it was necessary given the conditions. All right, you all make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and share this video with your family members or friends. Now you may say, well, Andrea, this is happening in California. I don't live in California. I'm not from the state of California. And just as I shared in my previous videos, this is going to affect all of us, no matter where we live. We know that in episode 38, I brought to you all information about the droughts that were happening in California, as well as the wildfires and the water shortages that were having an effect on the farmland and food supply that comes from California. So again, this is going to affect all of us, and it's something that we should know about. All right, now the article breaks down and says who is affected by this decision. The article says about 5,700 Northern Californians and Central Valley water rights holders, who collectively hold about 12,500 water rights, will be subject to the forthcoming curtailments. Okay, that's according to the Deputy Director of the State Water Board's Division of Water Rights. And once this regulation is in place, further curtailments in the Delta watershed may be issued as the situation progresses. All right, now the order will largely affect rights holders using water for agricultural irrigation purposes, though some municipal, industrial, and commercial entities also will be affected. Now, the regulation carves out an exemption for health and human safety purposes, meaning that water for drinking, bathing, and domestic purposes won't be subject to the curtailment. All right, now the Water Board previously, they did release a draft version of the proposed order back in mid-July, following a notice of water unavailability, which urges but did not order people to stop diverting water, and that was sent to many right holders in mid-June. All right. Now, the curtailments will create hardships for many growers. We know that the farmers will undoubtedly be impacted by this as well, and particular growers, those without access to well water. Okay, but the burden may be lessened by the time of year. Now, irrigation, it says, needs vary widely from farm to farm and crop to crop. All right, generally speaking, however, the biggest demands for agricultural irrigation in the Delta watershed tend to be in the late spring and summer, meaning the bulk of water used for the year is likely behind many growers. All right. Now, a senior counsel for the California Farm Bureau was quoted as saying, "It's coming toward the end of season here. As everything's dwindling in a very dry year, the curtailments may not make a huge difference for a lot of crop types." Now, what prompted the decision? So why did the state of California, why did they decide to, why did the California water regulators, why did they decide to make this decision? What prompted them? The article says the bottom line is there isn't enough water to meet competing demands. Now, the curtailments are necessary, according to the State Water Board's finding of emergency. And I quote, it says, to avoid catastrophic impacts to reservoir storage needed for human health and safety and other purposes. Now, essentially, regulators need to drastically reduce the amount of water that is being diverted from rivers and streams to ensure that enough water remains for essential purposes and that those who are diverting are doing so legally. All right. There was also a quote from the co-director of the Center for Watershed Sciences at UC Davis. They were quoted as saying, "It's pretty important for the integrity of the system to curtail water rights when there's not enough water." Okay. Otherwise, they quote, "It's just whoever gets their pump in first." And that's not really a very fair thing, a very fair way to do things. And then it says, in times of water shortage, right holders are curtailed in order of seniority. Okay, you all let me know, what do you think about this news so far in the comments, that, water is being, or the right to use water from different sources is being curtailed. How do you feel about that? What effect or impact do you feel like that will have, not only on the state of California and farmers, but on us and other parts of the United States? Okay, please put it in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts on this topic. Now, the article further says that drought conditions in the state rapidly worsened this spring when expected snowpack runoff to the watershed decreased by almost 800,000 acre feet, and an amount nearly equivalent to the capacity of the Folsom Reservoir between April and May. All right, hello to everyone who is tuned in. Thank you all so much for your support. Please say hello in the chat and let me know your thoughts on the news that I'm reporting about the water shortages in California, which are getting worse. Now, the governor of California, the article says Governor Newsom declared a drought emergency in 41 of California's 58 counties on May the 10th. Now, in that same month, the article says many farmers were warned that they would receive little. Now, listen to this, y'all. Many farmers, they warned that they would receive little or nothing from two large allocation systems, the Federal Central Valley Project and the State Water Project. Now, think about that, y'all. Hello to everyone tuned in. Thank you all so much. Let's think about this, y'all. Now, farmers, okay, you got to think about it. So not only are farmers, not only do they do this to, they're growing crops, they're, getting the harvest, they're providing food, they're feeding a large portion of the United States. So in episode 38 of Andrea Speaks TV, the previous episodes rather, I have spoken to you all about episode 38. I was talking about the crisis going on in Cuba. So this may have been, I don't have my episodes right in front of me. So this may have been maybe episode 36, when I talked about the food, and the resources that we get from California. So if a large part of the food here in the United States and maybe other parts of the world comes from California, then why would the government want to restrict water access to the farmers that are in California? What do you really think that is about? So it's, again, Governor Newsom, the governor of California, the article says he declared a drought emergency in 41 of California's 58 counties on May 10th. Now, in that same month, many farmers were warned that they would receive little. They would receive little or nothing from two large allocation systems. Now, the Federal Central Valley Project and the State Water Project. Okay, what happened to the snowpack? Now, earlier in the article, I just read to you where it talked about drought conditions in the state rapidly worsened this spring when the expected snowpack runoff to the watershed decreased by almost 800,000 acre feet. Now, what happened to that snowpack? The article says the simplest terms are the snow was kind of there, then it wasn't. Now, this was said by the chief of the hydrology branch at the state's Department of Water Resources. Okay, now, the person was quoted saying that it's not uncommon to lose 10 to 20% of the snowpack to normal hydrological processes, particularly following a dry year. But losing just under 80%, the article says, let alone in such a short period of time. Okay, so there's a question about that. It's beyond unprecedented. Okay, the article says the hydrologic conditions witnessed this year have been forecast in climate change models. Okay, pay attention to this, y'all. Climate change models. But according to Rizzardo, such scenarios weren't expected for decades from now. So, we know, and I've reported on this before, that when we look at things that are going on around our country and even parts of the world, we're seeing weather events. We're seeing heavy rain. We're seeing droughts, other natural disasters. We're seeing weather events that either have never happened, or, in some cases, like what happened, and I'll be reporting on this as well. We're seeing weather events, weather patterns that have happened in countries like China, in countries like Germany, that have either never happened, or haven't happened in hundreds of years, or possibly even thousands of years. So, it's very, to me, it's very concerning. I think it's something that we all need to know when we start to see, weather patterns and weather events that are just completely unusual, especially either, depending on the geographic region, or just depending on the time of the year. So, that makes me want to ask you all a question. Are you seeing in your area, no matter where you live, are you seeing weather that that is not common, that is very uncommon for this time of year? I know where I'm located, it seemed like it has been just consistently raining every single day. And, that's not always something that happens. So I'm very curious, and I want to ask you all the question. If you would, please type it in the chat. Are you seeing unusual weather, even unusual climate? Is it hotter than it normally is where you are? Just let me know in the comments. I would be very curious to know, are you seeing some of the same things? Because I am seeing that where I am. All right. So again, the article says that the hydrologic conditions witnessed this year, all right, have been forecast in climate change models, but the scenarios weren't expected for decades from now. So in other words, a lot of the events, the weather events that are happening or have been happening in that particular region, in other words, they're saying, hey, we knew this was coming, but we weren't expecting to see it until decades from now. Okay. Now, the person was also, let's see, I want to give you all some facts about who this person is. Hold on one second. Okay, Rizzardo. Rizzardo is the chief of hydrology branch at the state's Department of Water Resources. So Rizzardo also explained, and he characterized higher temperatures, drier soils, and the effect of large fires in the watershed as three of the primary factors driving the loss in projected runoff. So again, the droughts that have been happening in California, the wildfires, higher temperatures. Okay, you all know right here on the channel, I talked about the heat waves that have been going on. All of these things, Rizzardo is saying, higher temperatures, drier soils, and the effect of large-scale fires in the watershed are the three primary factors that were driving the loss in projected runoff. All right, now the effect of wildfires is twofold. According to Rizzardo, the loss of tree cover and brush puts more direct sun radiation on the snow, which causes it to melt much faster. Okay, sooty debris from fires also creates dark surfaces, which absorb rather than reflect the sun's radiation, causing even more melting. Okay, now broadly speaking, the runoff from the Sierra snowpack, which feeds major northern California reservoirs and dozens of rivers, travels through the watershed and into the Delta, which then connects to the San Francisco Bay. Now, the article also says that water from the Delta contributes to the water supply for more than 2/3, y'all, more than 2/3 of Californians, and it is also used to irrigate millions of acres of farmland. All right, now, the article also concludes by asking, well, what about the rest of the state? Okay, what's going on in the rest of the state of California? Now, in July, Governor Newsom, governor of California, urged all Californians to voluntarily cut their water usage by 15%. But what exactly does that mean for the average California household? What does that mean to cut your water usage by 15%? All right, the governor actually made the request, the article says, as he extended a regional drought emergency to 50 counties, which comprise about 42% of the state's population. For many, the talk of water reductions reminded them of the shriveled lawns. Now, maybe this is some of the things that they saw in California. Okay, it reminded them of the shriveled lawns, attenuated showers, and water bucket toilet flushing of the last devastating drought. Now, it achieved a voluntary 15% water reduction statewide. I'm sorry, if achieved, the article says, a voluntary 15% water reduction statewide would save roughly 850,000 acre feet of water, which it says is enough to supply 1.7 million households for a year, according to the governor's office. Now, back in April 2015, so let's talk about what happened a few years ago. In April 2015, then Governor Jerry Brown ordered cities and towns across California to cut water use by 25%, marking the first mandatory statewide water restrictions in state history. All right, Californians came close to meeting the goal, with residents reducing the amount of water they use by 24.5%. Now, a handful of years after the last drought, the article says, per capita residential water use remains about 16% below 2013 levels. All right, now, Newsom's request is intended to bring California water production roughly back to where it dropped in 2015 and 2016. Says a research data specialist at the State Water Resources Control Board. That person also said that the number does seem feasible to the board because the state had been able to maintain those levels during the last drought. All right. Household water usage, it says use varies dramatically across the state based on a number of factors. But speaking in the broadest terms, there's about a 15% reduction would equate to a cut of roughly 14,000 gallons a day per person. I'm sorry, it would equate to a cut of roughly 14 gallons. Okay, let me correct that, y'all. 14 gallons a day per person. The drought emergency declaration does exclude almost all of Southern California. So it's not the entire state of California. The article says that the emergency declaration by Governor Newsom excludes almost all of Southern California, where the drought picture is much less dire. That's because the region is mostly supplied by big federal and state water systems rather than local precipitation. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which imports water from the Colorado River and the North, says it has sufficient reserves in regional reservoirs and groundwater banks, enough to carry it through this year. Okay, but listen, y'all, it does say it has sufficient reserves in regional reservoirs and groundwater banks, enough to carry it through this year. Okay, but what about in the future? Now, Los Angeles, which is in California, the article says, which is partly supplied by the MWD, the Metropolitan Water District, similarly doesn't expect any shortages. Okay, so although a lot of times when many people think of California, they think of LA, Los Angeles. According to this article, although Los Angeles or LA is supplied by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, right now they're saying they don't expect any shortages. Okay, so they don't have to, I guess, be as concerned about that in Los Angeles as other parts of California. So I do want to ask you all, what do you think about the news, about what's going on in the state of California? Now, some people may say, well, California borders an ocean, and there are other, bodies of water, that are surrounding that area. So how is it that, California is even in this situation? A lot of people will say, according to the article, they will say that, due to climate change, some people say that, some of the problems that are happening in the state of California. Hello to everyone. Thank you all so much for your support. And thank you all so much for tuning in live, or whether you're watching by replay. I truly appreciate your support. Some people may argue that what we're seeing happening in the state of California, some people will say that the issues can be attributed the droughts as well as the wildfires, wildfires, things like that, can be, and the water shortages can be attributed to climate change. There are some people who argue that what we're seeing happen is man-made, that it's planned, that somehow possibly the government or other individuals or groups um, may be controlling the water supply, which is impacting, everyone in that particular area. So I would again like to ask you, what are your thoughts about what's happening in the state of California with the water shortages? What effects do you think it will have on not only the farmland, but also other parts of the United States? I can say that where I'm located, I'm starting to see, I haven't really seen shortages of water yet, but I will encourage you, I can't tell you what to do, but I will encourage you to make sure that you and your family, you have a sufficient supply of water at home. Whether you choose to go out and purchase bottled water, or if you have, different ways that you store and collect water, I would encourage you to do that. And also, just make sure that you not only have water, but you have, a food supply, whether you're growing your own food, you have a garden, or if you have, or if, you have or need emergency food supply. Now, I've shared before, I do have a website, preparewithandrea.com. Again, my website is preparewithandrea.com. If you need emergency food supply or survival needs, please check out my website. I do have those items there. You can just make your purchase and the items will ship to you at your location. So make sure you check that out as well. That is another resource. But we have to make sure when we get news like that, like this, is not to scare you or frighten you or cause you to be in a panic. But I do share information and news like this to make you and your family, your friends, aware of what's going on, because a lot of times this information is not at the forefront of the news. Okay. I don't know, what city, state you're located in, but a lot of times when we turn on the news, we know that, in the current environment that we're living in now, there are other stories that are being pushed out to us that are more so what we call front page news. But sometimes information such as water shortages, it doesn't always get to the top of the news. And, you all, we learned in school, and we know just from research that water is essential to human life. So you want to make sure, if shortages are happening in California, if residents of California are being asked to reduce their water supply, or I'm sorry, to reduce their water usage. And even if farmers in California, who supply a great majority of our food supply here in the United States, if their water is being restricted, what do you think is happening to their crops? How are they able to irrigate their crops? How are they able to feed the farm animals? How are they able to harvest the crops and sell those crops to the different markets and places across the United States and the world? What effect do you think that will have, even if we're not, again, just because you may not live in California, I don't live in the state of California, please don't look at this like, well, I'm not in the area, so it has nothing to do with me. Again, yes, it does, because and I think I actually put this as a thumbnail for the video, if the water is being cut, if, the water is being cut off, then, eventually we're going to see higher food prices in our, local grocery stores. So that's one of the negative impacts that the water shortages that we're seeing and hearing about. That's one of the things that we will see as a negative impact to us. No matter where we live at, we're going to see either a shortage of food at our grocery stores, which I shared that I do much of my shopping at a local farmer's market. And I'm even starting to see, y'all, I went in, maybe a week ago, I went in to buy some lemons. And on a Sunday, as a matter of fact, it was last Sunday, and I went in to purchase lemons. And do you know that for the first time ever, there were no lemons. Now, I normally buy organic produce, fruits and vegetables, things like that. But for the first time that I had seen, there were no lemons, whether it was organic or non-organic. There were no lemons at the market on a Sunday when it's usually extremely busy, and they try to put all, organic, non-organic fruits and vegetables, things like that. There were no lemons at all in the store. And so for me, it was really a wake up call to say, you know what, things are changing, and I got to continue to do what needs to be done to make sure that my family and I, no matter what, happens in the future, as far as water shortages, food shortages, that we'll still be okay, and we'll have the things that we need. So another tip that I saw someone shared in the comments on a previous video, someone was saying, make sure that when you do eat your fruits and vegetables, make sure you save the seeds. Okay, so it may get to a point, if you're not already growing your food, that may be a great thing, something that you want to, to do for you and your family. Of course, it takes planning, and depending on what region you're in, certain crops, grow during certain times. It's best to plant during certain times, so you want to do your research and make sure that you're planting during the correct times. But I think that was a valuable piece of information that someone, one of my supporters, shared under a previous video. They were saying that whenever you eat, for example, whether you're eating like plums, I ate a plum just yesterday. If you're eating plums, anything that has a seed, you want to make sure you save your seed, and because you may have to, if you're not already doing that, you may have to plant your own food and grow your own food. Okay. Let's see. So, that was pretty much what I wanted to share about the water shortages going on in California. We're living in times, y'all, where, again, this is not to scare you, but I like to report on, real life, real situations that are going on, things that we all need to know about, so that we can take the necessary steps to, protect and make sure that our families, our friends, even ourselves, that we have the things that we need, that we have a sufficient supply of things that we need to keep living and going through the times that we're living in. Okay. Well, again, I want to say thank you all so much for your support of the channel, for subscribing to the channel. Make sure, if you found the information in this video to be helpful, please make sure you give me a thumbs up, share the video with family members or friends. And I also encourage you to go back and watch my other videos here on the channel. In episode, I believe it was episode 37. I apologize if I don't have the correct episode. I have a lot of different episodes here on the channel. So if you are watching or tuning in for the first time, you say, you know what, let me go back and see what Andrea talks about. Please go back and watch any of my videos here on the channel. I always feel like I share useful information. Share it with family members and friends. Leave a comment under the video. I do like to go back and look at comments and respond when I'm able to. But in, I believe it was episode 37, I went live from Sam's Club, and I was telling you all about, different things that you may need to think about getting. I showed you water. I also talked about, what are some of the things I talked about in that video? I talked about water. I also talked about, the children going back to school. If you're like me, the past few weeks, you've been preparing for the back to school season. So in Sam's, which is where I went live from, or where I recorded my video, I talked about how, grab a few containers of Clorox wipes or Lysol spray, send it to school with your child, or take it to school so that your child's teacher can, use it in the classroom, because, we want all of our children, all of our babies to be safe, and, as they return to school. But these are things that we all need to be thinking about. So if you haven't watched that video already, go back and watch it. You may get some good ideas, some things you say, you know what, Andrea, I never thought about that before. So make sure you check out that video as well. All right. Again, I want to say thank you all so much for your support. I truly, truly appreciate you. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe so that we can stay connected, and you will get a notification when I upload new videos. Okay. Also, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Andrea Speaks TV. And again, if you need to get your emergency food supply as well as survival needs, please check out my website, preparewithandrea.com. That's preparewithandrea.com. All right, y'all, this has been episode 39 of Andrea Speaks TV. I appreciate your support so much. Stay tuned because I will be uploading new videos this week. Continue to take care of yourselves. Continue to take care of your family. And thank you all so much. Until next time, take care and be blessed. You all have an awesome Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a great week ahead. Thank you all so much. See you again soon. This has been Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV.